Hello, I'm your host of the Sportsway podcast, Bryson Ryan. And if you are watching on both YouTube and Spotify, you will notice a new face, Chase Davis. We have been wanting Chase to join the podcast for a while now, actually since day one. But he was going to go off to college, so it never really kind of worked out. But now he's officially joining. Hopefully, he'll be a weekly call in. But let's just jump into today's episode, like what we got going on. In today's episode, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. We'll be getting into Damian Lillard's last 30 games. I'll be giving a list of players, and I guess Chase and I will be discussing who's better or who they would want on their team. Are the Lakers and Mavs in trouble? Bron's out 3 weeks, and Dallas can't seem to click with Luka and Kyrie on the floor. And then to wrap up the NBA portion, we're going to give our MVP debate. And then we're going to jump into the NFL. The Combine was just this past week. And then we're going to rank our top five QB needy teams from this offseason. And then we'll bounce into some MLB. And then I'll wrap up with my new segment about the XFL. It'll just be a minute long. So I know Chase and VB don't really watch it, but enough of me. Chase, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Good. Workload's been light, so
That's good.
excited.
How's college been?
Excited.
How's college been?
Easy.
I know
I have a better,
easy.
better
Yeah. So
GPA
if
than
you
high
don't know,
school,
Chase
so
Chase
can't
goes
complain.
to Chase goes to Oklahoma State. So what do you do?
Go
You
Pokes.
like a picture? Like what do you take
Yeah,
pictures? I know
so
that, but like
that's
go
what
ahead.
I do. I'm a sports photographer here at OSU. I love it. It's what I want to do. So just being able to do it like this early on has been really helpful. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's a
no
little bit
doubt,
about
no
me.
doubt. Um, so we're just gonna jump into this. Damian Lillard is he the best player in the NBA right now? Because his stats start from January 8th, 2023, he's averaging 37 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4.9 rebounds, so basically 5 rebounds and 7 assists. He's had 171-point game, a 33-point triple double against the Warriors, a 60-point game versus the Jazz, and he's had 11 plus 40-point game, or he's had 11 40 plus point games, including the 71 61-point game. How much of a stretch would it be to call Damian Lillard the best player in the NBA right now?
It's not. And if you don't call Dame the best player in the NBA, you don't know ball. You don't watch the NBA. And I think the key statistic here is this is since January 8th. And he's putting up 37 points per and 7 assists. So he's spreading the rock. I mean,
It,
there's no question.
I don't think he scored under 20 points, which is insane. And I know Damian Lillard obviously is at the superstar level of all superstars. But what at,
Yeah.
and I know he's the most loyal man in the NBA, but is that going to hold him back from becoming a Hall of Famer one day or becoming in that conversation for the greatest shooters of all time? Because I don't think he gets a lot of that recognition that Steph Curry does because he's in a smaller market and he's not playing alongside three superstars, three MVP candidates back when Steph was.
Yeah. I don't
I
think it'll hold him back from those talks, but he shoots lights out, and he's been doing that season in and season out. So I don't think that'll hold him back in the best shooters conversation, and even the MVP, not MVP, Hall of Fame talks. Hey, Dame's one of the best players to ever touch the court. So
yeah,
I don't think that holds him back in any way. Um, it's a one man show in Portland right now. That's
it is.
so clear, and yeah, it's the Dame show.
So I want where does he rank on your list of the best shooters of all time? Because I have him at two personally. I know Ray Allen's up there for a lot of people. Reggie Miller's up there. Obviously, Steph Curry's one. There's no question about that. But where
Yeah,
does Damian
no,
Lillard
yeah, no
rank
debate.
on your list as one of if he is a like top shooter? Like where does he rank?
I think second's very an appropriate ranking. I have him at three. I've been scarred as a Spurs fan from that finals against the
Yeah,
Heat. So
yeah.
obviously I have a bunch of respect for Ray Allen, and that's why Ray is my number two, and he's knocked down. But we're in a different era of the NBA. Even just you know a decade after Ray
Oh
Allen
yeah,
was
hundred
really just
percent.
killing it.
I mean,
Um, but no,
Ray
and
Allen's
it's
not
not
going
like
to
he'll
put up a
never be able to
70.
exactly. No,
No,
I think I think
continue. Sorry.
three. I think three is accurate right now. I think he'll probably finish as number two though.
Yeah. So this was going to be for you and VB both. I mean, I was going to answer as well, but I want to get your opinion. I'm going to give you a couple players, point guards. I call them point guards. I mean, they pretty much are all point guards. James Harden, you could argue at times is the shooting guard. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a list of players, superstars and you're going to pick. So I'm going to be, it's like the first one is Damian Lillard or Luka Doncic. Who would you rather have?
Luca,
Okay.
Luca, a
Dame or
thousand percent.
Kyrie?
Dame,
Okay,
Dame, totally.
that's
Because here's my thing with that. Kyrie is so much drama. That's gonna affect everyone else
on the
on
court
my
though.
team.
That's okay. On the court though, who would you rather have?
Oh,
Like
still
strictly
still
ball.
Dame. Okay,
Okay.
what Kyrie we
I agree with that.
talking about? Are we talking about Kyrie right now or Dame right now? Well,
Uh,
obviously Dame right now, but Kyrie
Dame right
like
now,
Cavs
100%.
Kyrie?
I
Yeah.
think any Kyrie. No, no. We're gonna stick to this season. This season.
Okay, yeah, Dame.
All
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
Dame or
there's a
James
reason.
Harden.
Dame. James is taking a backseat role in Philly.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm taking Dame.
All right, Dame or Steph Curry.
Steph. I got to give it to
See,
Steph.
yeah,
Steph.
yeah. This one is a little controversial. Dame or Ja.
Right now?
Right.
Right now?
Okay.
Right,
This
right now,
season, not right
Dame.
now. This season, right?
Prior,
Like this whole season, not prior to the
prior to
incidents,
the prior to the
which we will not be
downfall of
talking
Ja
about.
Morant. I'm gonna go with Ja. When Ja was drafted, I
Yeah,
really I I loved him.
yeah. Now
Ja
he's
has
kind
been
of put
my
himself in the
favorite.
media.
He's put himself out of the NBA.
Yeah.
It
All right.
it's so sad to see.
Yeah. Dame or SGA?
Dame, but still love for my guy Shea.
Yeah. The last one I'll do: Damian Lillard or De'Aaron Fox this season.
Mm, Dame,
You,
Dame, because I mean the skid he's on right now is unbelievable.
it is.
It is unbelievable. Dame's having one of the best seasons of his career. De'Aaron Fox, he's good, definitely a good point guard, but I'm taking Dame. I'm taking
Yeah,
Dame.
I agree. I agree. I just think the way that Damian Lillard plays, like I was watching when they were on. I think they're on prime time, ESPN last Thursday or Friday. And I think they were playing the Pelicans. They had Jose Alvarado, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they were having them guard him like pretty much full court. Like Damian Lillard was getting full court pressed all the way down because if he steps across half court, even like behind half court, you saw it in the All Star game. And I get that's the All Star game, but like Damian Lillard has the rock in his hand anywhere near the half court line or behind it, it's going like he has a shot to go in. Like it is unbelievable what Damian Lillard is doing, and I think the recognition. Like I feel like not a lot of people talked about the 71-point game, which is absurd to think about 71 points. But I just think the way that Damian Lillard plays, you're having to guard him pretty much like Steph Curry was getting guarded in his back-to-back MVP seasons, and I think that's what a
Yeah,
lot of people they're they're overlooking what Damian Lillard's doing right now because Steph did it 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, however long ago it was. And I think Damian Lillard deserves all the credit in the world at what he's doing. He's putting the one of the worst franchises or one of the worst teams in the NBA on his back and making them relevant for that play-in spot.
yeah, no. And then like during that stretch for Steph, his MVP stretch, it'd be like weekly. I'd see like 2 to 3 headlines about
Yeah,
Steph's performances here, Steph's performances there. I've probably seen 2 headlines this
and it's a
whole,
71
you know,
point game. Yeah,
yes, it's
and
been a
it's
71-point game, and then talking about how good Dame has been recently.
yes, yeah, and it's
He's
he's
getting,
been doing this. Yeah, he's been doing this forever. And I want
yeah,
to will Will Chamberlain's record ever be broken of 100 points in a game?
I don't think so. I mean, I think
It
because
could come
basketball is such a
close,
team
but
effort now.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Basketball's such a team effort now. Like you're not going to see a team like the Trailblazers where it's just so one-sided. Um, and if
Yeah.
you do, it's usually like not as dominant as this. Like we're
No,
seeing a
no,
very good
not.
run, like you said,
I
of such a
mean,
bad team.
honestly, I think this is a little biased. The closest person that I think has any shot, I mean, I guess you could say before Kyrie, but the only person that I think had a legit shot of beating that, because of how bad the Mavericks are, is Luka Doncic or Damian Lillard. But
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to see like a LeBron James get 100 points. You're not going to see a Steph Curry, just because not that they don't have the stamina, but it's like the team around them is just good. Like, well, the Lakers are questionable, but like you're not going to see like a LeBron because he's got AD or he's got at least somebody better than what the Mavericks had before they got Kyrie. And Damian Lillard has proven that they do not have a soul. Anthony Simons is okay, but he's been hurt in this stretch that Damian Lillard's been doing this. And Damian Lillard's put this team on his back, and I think he has them at the 11 or 12 seed, but it's like they're 3 games out of the play-in, which is really good.
and yes, they're doing an amazing job, but that just proves how good the Western Conference is this year.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
how
Like
many games back are they from being at like a 4 or 5 seed?
the Lakers are 1 game back from the play-in and just 3 games back from sixth place, which is inside the play-in, which is just, I mean, they're at the 10 seed right now, and to say that they're 3 games back of the 6 seed is insane to say.
Yeah, we won't be able to call who's going to go to the playoffs until that last game
No,
is
The
settled,
West is
which
wide
is
open.
so it's such a fun time to be a basketball fan and watch
No,
this.
it is, and just the way the West, and even I guess you could say the East, but I'm only saying the West is wide open because what have the Nuggets done in the postseason besides the bubble? Like, what
Yeah,
has Denver done? And I get they're this dominant, but Jokic and all the hate that he's getting because he hasn't won a playoff series and he's won three or he's going to win three MVPs in a row. I it and you watch him play. It's not that Jokic is doing bad. You watch Jokic in the playoffs. It's not that he's doing bad. I mean, he had what was it 2 years ago when he played the Warriors to go to the conference finals, or maybe it was last. I don't know what it was, but he had like 3 40-point games and they only won 2 games in this series. Just that shows
yeah.
how dominating the Warriors were at that time. And the West is and we'll get into this in a second because I've got some stuff to say about the West and how the Mavericks or the Lakers or teams like that are going to look to
Mhm.
Grizzlies, Nuggets, teams like that that are higher up in the seeding. Um, but I want to talk about the Lakers here in a second. The Lakers are 31 and 34, 11th in the West. They're only 1 game back, as I said, of the 10th seed, which is that play-in spot. I think that's their goal right now because LeBron James is out 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks, with 19 games remaining. So how are the Lakers going to do with King James off the court? They're 7 and 11 this year without LeBron, and then obviously when he is playing, they're a much better team, scoring the ball way better. So how are the Lakers to get to that play in? How are they going to elevate themselves to get to that play in spot?
I feel like whenever LeBron doesn't play or gets hurt, it just messes with the players' morale. Because
Yeah.
I mean, most of these guys on that Lakers team have idolized LeBron at some point in their life
Hmm.
because he's an old head.
He is.
But and so you're like, oh well, we have or the reason we're in the headlines, we're in these talks is because of LeBron. Everyone remembers how bad the Lakers were just like a couple years ago. They were horrible. So I think they continue sliding down. I don't see them making the playoffs
Now
unless
they did make a couple trades. They they made a trade for D'Angelo
true.
Russell. They traded for Jared Vanderbilt, who's been pretty good, to a lot of people's surprise. I think Anthony Davis had like a 39-point game yesterday, but I I just they don't have their coaches that they've had with LeBron James. They're minus the Mickey Mouse championship run they had in the bubble. Um, and I only say it's Mickey Mouse because they had what was it 3 4 months off to rest, heal, and recover to make that run.
Yeah.
Um, I I just think that the coaching staff is a major part in this because obviously any coach that comes into the Lakers organization has idolized LeBron James, probably as well as all the players. So, I mean, they're going to look up to him. They're going to listen to whatever he has to say instead of coaching and what they need to do. And I think that took a toll, as you saw with Tyronn Lue in the like back end of LeBron's tenure and the second tenure he had in Cleveland. So, I mean, just the way the Lakers play, and I get it. They have traded every asset they have in pick draft capital wise for I guess this season and the next season. It's just to get LeBron James another championship, or at least try to get him another championship. So to me, it's just can they get to the play-in? And this brings me to my next point. If they do get to the play-in and they somehow get to the playoffs, would a team like a Denver or a team like the Grizzlies, with LeBron James fully healthy, fully back, be scared of the Lakers?
Well, I think now the Grizzlies are definitely going to be scared, and not just because of the you know,
Yeah.
news. They've got like on Saturday, so much team news came out. For some reason, it's not coming to the top of my head. Players out for the season. Um,
Oh, you keep that point. I'll look.
yeah, yeah. Dylan Brooks got in trouble because he's got 16 techs this year. That's going to cost them. I mean, it's clearly costing them every game. Not every game, but no, you don't want your guys getting technical fouls at all. Whatever.
Brandon Clark,
Um,
a
Brandon
big
Clark.
defensive piece, a big defensive
Yeah.
piece on that end.
So, and that's why I could honestly see the Grizzlies falling to a play-in spot because news came
Ah,
out today. Jaws return is like they have no idea. And
yeah, that is true. I just think
like you were
they're too far ahead of the field to drop to a play-in spot. Now, they could. I mean, I don't know how many people were watching that game last night. They did blow like a 17 or 18 point lead in the fourth quarter against the Clippers, who were winless before after the All Star break. But I think what do they have? 38. 38 wins. Just to me, I think the play-in. Well, I guess the Mavericks have 33, but I I could honestly see that if
maybe they won't drop to a
but like a 4 or 5 seed.
yeah. Like they'll fall and then they'll have a much more difficult opponent than say a
Yeah,
Lakers team or like even a Thunder team. I do
that
think
is
that
true. The
Thunder team
Thunder,
could be dangerous in the playoffs.
I do. I think they're a year early, but if they do get in, I feel like they'd be really. SGA would put on a show for sure. Um,
Pe- People need to start recognizing my boy Jada, high school
yeah,
classmate. Come on, y'all gotta put some respect on that boy.
uh,
32 points last night.
yeah.
He's
He.
tough.
Mhm.
Their future
And
is bright.
so they do have a bright future. They've got Chet Holmgren hadn't even touched the floor this year, and they're a bubble team, like a
Exactly.
bubble like play-in team. Um, so I want to jump right into the Mavericks. A little biased here, obviously you're a Spurs fan, but I want to get it from the outside perspective. How concerned should the Mavericks, like how concerned should Mavericks fans be? Currently the Mavericks are 33 and 32. They're seventh in the West. Suffered a loss last night to, or I guess yesterday morning, afternoon, whatever you want to call it, to the Suns. But they're just 2 games back from the fourth and fifth seed, and 1 game back from the sixth seed in the West. Luka and Kyrie are 2-5 when playing together since the trade went through. It's not that they can't play together; it's just the team around him, the surrounding cast, has been lackluster. Obviously, Christian Wood has not been what they thought he was going to be in the signing this offseason. But in the 7 games that they played together, Luka's averaging 32 and a 32.7 points per game, and then Kyrie's averaging 27.7 points per game. So just in 7 games, it's a very small sample size, and I'm excited that they get to prove themselves in the postseason. But from like a Spurs fan or just an outside NBA fan, what do you think like Mavericks have to do to step this up? Obviously, the defense is bad, but is there something that like as a Mavericks fan, I'm going to be a little biased. I think they are clicking, but are they not clicking, or what is it?
Okay, well, I want to start with this. As a Spurs fan, I've grown up not hating either of the other Texas teams. I've always liked the Rockets, always liked the
Yeah,
Mavs, which is rare coming from, a Spurs fan or whatever.
I
Um,
think
I don't think you guys have to
basketball.
worry about it.
I
Oh,
think
go ahead.
basketball fans don't hate the other Texas teams. I mean, we were talking about the NFL. I think as a Cowboys fan, I do not like the Texans, but like I don't have anything against the Rockets or the Spurs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's good rivalries in the NBA, but it's not as frequent as like other leagues.
Yeah,
Um, but as for the Mavericks, you guys don't have to worry. This this duo is a new duo. You
mm,
they've gotta start they've got to find their way together. How are they going to play with each other? Pause. But like they these are two players who score at a very high rate, and when you get that kind of production out of two guys, how are they going to combine that? If that makes any
yeah.
sense.
I, no, that makes sense. I mean, to me, it's just the surrounding cast. Christian Wood had 17 yesterday in a loss versus Phoenix, which Lucas said after his post game. I mean, like to see all this talk when the game's over or something like that. Something how like it's easy to talk when the scoreboard is the way it's going. But obviously the Suns have forgotten what happened last year in Game 7 after they talked trash in Game 6. Luca blew them out of the water. I think it was a 50-point win in Game 7, I should say, at Phoenix. So obviously they have forgotten about that. And I would not test that man in the postseason. Luka Doncic in the playoffs, regardless of his resume, regardless of how bad he looked in that Western Conference Finals last year, his resume, his playoff resume, is just off out of this world. It's off the charts, and it dates back to kind of the bubble where he had that game winner against the Clippers. And that's a potential matchup this year. With the way the Clippers have looked, they could bump up to a 5 seed, and the Mavericks could get the 6 seed, which would be a very, very fun playoff series if the Mavericks and Clippers matched up. Um, MVP Luca, is that a stretch? If I called him that, because he really is the most valuable player if we're going by the award's name.
Yes, but how often do we vote based on the award's name? We don't.
Frozen.
You. Oh, yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good
Okay.
now.
How often? Yeah. How often do we actually vote based off of the award's name?
Not very often, but we keep bringing Nikola Jokic's name up because he's
Jokic is
so.
averaging a triple double this year.
Yes, but what has he done in the playoffs?
It's
Like
not the
we're,
most valuable playoff player. I'm just saying. I think Jokic is going to go three-peat just because
and I
that's how
think
the
that's how
NBA
the
is
award
landscaped.
should be. The Mavericks are worse than the Spurs. We lost to the San Antonio Spurs without Luka Doncic. Like without Luka, he was hurt when we played y'all. We were the worst team. Like we are bottom five without Luka Doncic before Kyrie. Um, Obviously, with the addition of Kyrie Irving, it's made us a little better, even though our record hasn't shown that. But most valuable player, the award, just strictly off the name, I think Luka Doncic wins that award. Do I think Jokic is going to win it and he's deserving of it? Yes, I do. I don't think anybody comes close to what Jokic can do because just like the Mavericks, I don't think the Nuggets are very good with Jokic at all. Like I think they're not
Yeah.
bottom five, but they're not a top 10 team in the NBA without Jokic. Um, so Jokic probably is going to win the award. Joel Embiid is his name is kind of starting to come back up. Giannis will always be in the conversation. Tatum's name has been thrown around, but I just think the domination of Jokic should he win the award. That'll be his third in a row, and this is the season if he does that he has to make something happen in the postseason. Or there's going to be a lot of talk around the league at how Jokic can't win big games, can't be a playoff winner. All these narratives that are going to be starting thrown around, especially with that third MVP looming over your head.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure, obviously. But he's definitely made for the regular season. Um, it,
Ah,
he's averaging a triple double right now, which
yeah,
is
I hate hating on Jokic. I like him so
unbelievable.
much. Yeah,
Yeah, but you also can't frown on 33, 8 and 8. That's
no, you can't.
very good as well.
You
So
also can't
I
frown
I
upon
definitely
that he hasn't played. He hasn't played with a superstar yet. Jamal Murray is
is yeah
is a star. not a superstar, not an all-star. Jamal Murray is just a bucket getter.
People talk more about Jamal Murray because of his Instagram live video than his actual basketball skills.
That is true.
And
That's true.
yeah, no, you're right. He doesn't have another star.
He doesn't. He has not played with another star yet. I mean, Michael Porter
No,
Jr. is a bucket getter. He plays defense, but the injuries with Michael
yeah,
Porter Jr., the inconsistency that he has at times. Same with Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's a guy that could go for 40 one night, or he could go for 11, and you don't
yeah,
know which Jamal Murray you're going to get night in and night out with the Nuggets. But you know what you're going to get with Jokic. You know what you're going to get on his defensive end. And it's just that's why I think and I'm not saying Lucas should win the MVP. I think Jokic is very deserving of it, but this is the year he has to make a run in the postseason if he wants to have any recognition for his game. Because a lot of the talk around the NBA is he hasn't done anything in the postseason yet, and so why are we giving him the award again?
yeah. And I'm looking at the race for the MVP right now. They have obviously the Joker at one because triple double
Is it?
on
Hold on,
average
let me
is
try to guess. Is it
nuts.
so? It's Jokic. Is it? It's got to be. It's probably Embiid, and then
Nope,
Tatum.
nope,
It's Tatum and then Embiid.
no. It's
What?
Jokic, Giannis,
They have
uh,
Giannis there?
Tatum, Tatum,
Okay.
Joel, and then Luca. It Luca stat wise
Okay.
needs to be number two.
Stat wise, yes.
J-
And looking at the surrounding cast,
every single one of
Ta-
Jason Tatum's stats lower than Luca's,
yeah.
and they have
Well,
Jason Tatum at three.
they also their team is a lot better. I guess Giannis is on like a 15 or was on a. I don't know if he still is on a 15 or 16 game winning streak at this point. So I I could see that, but he's been hurt. He's been in and out of the lineup this year. When he is playing, yes, the Bucks are a top five team, top two team in my opinion. Um, and he is the best player in basketball, no question. I don't think like all around he's got the game, he's got the defense, he's got the skill set, but I think that's a little much of a stretch to say that he's second on the MVP list right now. Jokic, I can 100% see. I would respect Tatum and then Giannis, or Joel and then Giannis. Giannis at two though is absurd to me.
Yeah, yeah, no. And Milwaukee actually just had their winning streak snapped by Philly. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
but they were on a crazy run uh, there for a little while. But yeah, no, I think Tatum that high up is crazy. Um,
Um, yeah. All right. So we're gonna jump into the NFL because a lot has happened today and then past this past week, with the combine. So I've got a list of teams. Obviously, the Saints signed Derek Carr today, so I don't know if you can call them a QB needy team anymore. But we have the Saints, the Panthers, the Jets, the Raiders, the Texans, the Colts, the Commanders, the Titans, the Buccaneers, and the Falcons. Um, my top five QB needy teams, and I'm looking at the whole roster. I'm looking at defense. I'm looking at offense. I'm looking at special teams. I'm looking at like everything that is can be thrown into a team wise. So my number one team is the Buccaneers. I think that defense, minus this year, is still a pretty good defense. I think organization they had a lot of struggles. They had a lot of turbulence in that inside the organization, knowing that Tom Brady probably was going to retire this year. And so they didn't live up to the expectations. So that's my number one QB needy team because I feel like they are a championship level offense and defense. They just need the right QB there to elevate them to that because they've got two Pro Bowl wide receivers. They've got a really good defense. I mean, they've got a ton of Pro Bowlers on that defensive side. Um, my number two team is looking at this list. It's the Commanders. Surprisingly enough, their defense has so drastically taken a step forward, and the way that they have wide receiver depth, they have a good cornerback room. Chase Young came back kind of late in the season because he tore his ACL, and their defense kind of stepped up. Um, my third team on this ranking was the Saints, and then they went out and got a QB, Derek Carr, today. I'll get your opinion on that here in a second. Um, my fourth team is the Jets. I feel like their defense was top five this year. Just in my opinion, they played really good. Now their record didn't show that they were top five, but I feel like that they had a lot. Their young talent that they continue to draft high in the draft is starting to develop and pay off. Now, can they get a quarterback to go help the development of this team? And that they've got Garrett Wilson. They probably honestly are going to sign. And then my fifth team is the Raiders. The whole reason you traded for Devontae Adams was because you thought you had a championship caliber team. Derek Carr's not that quarterback. I think I texted it on our group chat today. Derek Carr's just Dak 2.0.
Yes.
So I want to get your top five or your opinions first on the Saints signing Derek Carr, and then you can give your top five.
Derek Carr is not a legit quarterback. He's been with the Raiders how many years?
Nine.
And they've been to the playoffs with him. They've made it to the playoffs with him. How far have they gone with him?
Yeah. Not
Exactly.
very far. As far as the Cowboys,
I and he's had weapons. Darren Waller, Devon Adams, Renfro had an off year, but Renfro is there. He's just not getting it done. I mean, he's not. I
I
mean,
feel like
I
there was a lot
wouldn't
of
put
pressure
this.
this year.
Yeah, the Saints obviously won't. They won't go get a quarterback now, but I do still think they need a quarterback. It's a slight upgrade from Jameis.
Yeah,
That's about
I
it.
think honestly, I was high on Jameis. Jameis was a very good quarterback. The like going into the year before he got hurt, I feel like he was on a pace. The Saints were 5-2. They had just won. They had just beaten the Seahawks on Monday Night Football, and then they play the Buccaneers, and they were up and they were winning. And then Jameis Winston got hurt, and everything just fell apart. It's like the organization gave up on him from that point.
Yeah, and I don't. I'm still very iffy on Dennis Allen, so
Oh
we'll
man,
see
I
how
think he's. Mm.
they click. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be
yeah.
interesting.
Still pissed we let Sean Payton go,
I think he wanted to go though. I think he was
but
done. He saw what was coming.
yeah, he didn't want to be in New Orleans. That's fine. He gave us a lot of good years. Anyway,
Yeah.
so my top five. Yeah, I like the Bucks. I obviously good defense. They won. They won the worst league in the NFL, the worst
Yeah, they
division.
won the worst. Yeah, the worst
Um,
division.
and it wasn't Tom's fault per se, but I think if you get a hot shot who can come in, develop for a couple years, you're gonna have a few off years.
It
That's
seems
just the way
like
it is. It's not like
they're
Tampa
riding with
Bay's.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, and Trask can be that guy. I don't think he will be, but there's definitely the possibility. Um, and then I like the Falcons. I know that's such a hot take, but I like the Falcons.
That's a good.
I
That is
they
good.
were they started out very decent, and it's hard to be decent with Marcus Mariota.
That is true.
Also, I know I'm cutting in and out. College Wi-Fi is not the best. I can get that figured out next week, though. Trust me. And then the Commanders. Commanders were doing great. Not great, but with Carson Wentz, come
The
on. You get a
before
quarterback,
the I
maybe.
think there was a time where the whole NFC East was in the playoff hunt, and it was late in the season. It was like week 9 or 10, and that just kind of took a toll for the worst for the Commanders. I feel like when Wentz got hurt,
Okay,
and
but
then when Heineke stepped
what?
up, I mean, he had some good moments, but I don't know. I like the Commanders. I know I have in my top five. They're just that they're a quarterback away, and that's a lot of these teams on there, minus the Texans and the Texans and the Titans. I feel like because Derrick Henry's now on the trade block, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But a lot of these teams are just a quarterback away from competing.
Yeah, and every team in the NFC East finished above 500. So
That is pretty good.
hey, the Commanders are fine. It's Carson Wentz is not a good quarterback by any means. So Yeah, and then I do have the Jets. The Jets were what 6-4 at one point,
Hmm.
and then we they've been so inconsistent with picking a quarterback that
They can't develop a quarterback.
I think if they find no, so you need to get someone, maybe someone who decided they're not going to go back to their team today, who can go into New York, live in live in the spotlight of New York. I mean, I know it's East Rutherford, but whatever.
Aaron
Um,
Rodgers.
Rodgers or even even Lamar. I don't think Lamar would fit in good there, but
I'm
yeah,
saying dark
I think
horse Lamar
I think,
to the Falcons.
and that would be such a good fit. That would be such a good fit.
Inside on turf.
Um,
Like,
yeah, yeah, he'll get those wheels going. And then, gosh, who would be my five? I mean, yeah, I'll put the Saints at five if we really want to count quarterback needy teams who are, on the list. They still
I
need a
mean,
quarterback. Derek Carr's not that guy.
the defense though is pretty good. Alontae Taylor,
That's what I'm saying. Our
Paulson
defense,
Adebo, like y'all are a team with that is a quarterback away from competing. Because we saw the offense now. Now I say this now. That's before the Kamara incident. Whatever transpires in his court or whatever he's now in trouble for. Um, but there's a lot of hype around the Saints team now that Derek Carr signed because a lot of people think that Derek Carr could thrive in a new environment because of what he did in the early years of his stages at the Raiders that he had.
yeah, I think that relationship in Vegas and then at times in Oakland has always been, it's just been damaged these past few years. People have
Yeah.
been just putting Derek Carr down like I'm doing uh, for years because he can't do anything in the playoffs. He's a very mid-tier quarterback.
He's just
Uh,
he's just
his
he's just
contract that he
jacked.
signed for is yeah,
Yeah,
it
4 years,
4 years,
150
150
million.
million.
Yeah. Whew.
It puts him at after everyone like kind of resigns and reforms their contracts. He'll be the 12th to 15th highest paid um, quarterback in the league. He's not top 20. He is not top 20. So
More
yeah, I think
Ravens. The
I think
Ravens.
you can do.
The
Yeah,
Ravens
I
are
mean
the
now the Ravens
most.
are a quarterback needy team.
No, 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 no. What I'm saying is that the contract that Derek
Uh,
Carr got is so absurd that it the Ravens are like, what the heck? Because you're paying a guy that has not won a playoff game or or done anything in his career in a long time. You're paying that guy $150 million, $100 million guaranteed, and we're trying to get a deal done with Lamar Jackson where we don't have to pay him nearly as much money. And I think that's the struggle that that the Ravens have now just got put on because of what the Saints did with Lamar Jackson. Or I mean, I'm sorry, with Derek Carr.
yeah, I would compare the signing to the Texans signing Brock Osweiler. Uh,
I
that's how
wouldn't go that
bad this
far.
is.
I wouldn't go that
Yeah,
far.
uh,
Ah,
you're right. But yeah, because Brock Osweiler, wow, built for the booth is what Brock Osweiler is. He's built for the booth. So that's my top five.
so
I think
I wanna ask,
regarding
um, the Commanders.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was talking about Kamara, the Kamara incident.
Oh, Kamara.
Kamara is the reason I became a Saints fan. I was a Texans fan. All that Texans drama went down. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm out of here. Uh, so went to the Saints. Got family in New Orleans. Made sense. Um, but I honestly think this could be like a Dak Tony Pollard moment. We don't have our Tony Pollard, but I think we could trade up in the draft and maybe get our Tony Pollard
There's a
from
lot of good
from
running
number
backs.
five down in Austin.
Texas. I knew that was coming.
I'm just saying.
He might still be
Yeah,
there when y'all
I got
draft
I
because
got to
y'all
show love
traded.
for Bijan.
He might still be there at
Yeah, for
20.
sure.
What do y'all draft? 26, 25, 24?
Yeah, we draft late, but we could also trade up to maybe.
They don't have the assets to
Mm,
trade up.
can't really think of it. Yeah, we
I
don't.
don't think y'all can give up y'all's draft capital that y'all have already given up to the Eagles. The Eagles
Yeah,
finessed y'all.
it's I don't know. I almost cried when I saw that trade. I'm just happy it's not
So
together. Rain.
yeah, I know. I love CJ Gardner-Johnson on the States. So I want what team do you feel like in this QB class in the draft class should make a move if one is needed? Because the Bears are in a sticky situation because they have Justin Fields, who kind of looked like the guy that they all thought he was going to be when they drafted him to Chicago near the end of the year. Um, if you were the Bears front office and you were the GM of the Bears, what would you do in this situation? Would you trade up? Would you trade the pick, or would you trade Justin Fields and to draft a QB at one? And who would you draft at number one?
Okay, so if I were to trade and trade him away, which is a very likely uh, possibility, I gotta go with Bryce Young. Okay, then there's a lot of question on his size, whatever. He played in the SEC. This man has taken big hits. He
Yeah,
is durable. And if I am a front office, I want a guy who is durable. Now, Justin Fields is not the issue in Chicago. I really don't think he
no,
is.
no, 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 no.
It it's the rest of the Bears team that is horrible. Um, so I really don't think they should. I think they if they are gonna trade, you need to put a trade together that does not include Justin Fields and go get another weapon that you can give him,
Yeah,
or maybe
and
help on defense.
yeah, I I've been thinking about this, and I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Just the Bears in general are not a good spot for a quarterback like Justin Fields to go to, or any quarterback for that matter. But like a quarterback like Justin Fields who needs consistency, like Lamar Jackson needs consistency at the receiver position, is where I'm getting to this. The lack of receiver position when Darnell Mooney is your wide receiver number one. Now Darnell Mooney's a great football player, but he's a wide receiver two at best, maybe a wide receiver three on some teams. It's just now he's had a couple good years, but just the Bears organization has gone about this all wrong. What they do with this with this year's draft will determine whether they're all in for Justin Fields or they're going to trade him at draft night, and I could see that being a possibility. Um, my top prospect after watching all the combine highlights and rewatching it on YouTube is not going to come to a shock for many. It's Anthony Richardson. The dude is literally Cam Newton with a better arm, in my opinion. He's faster than Cam Newton. He's stronger. He can jump harder or farther. He's got the better. He's got a top three arm in this draft. From watching all these videos and watching all this, watch him throw at the combine. The only two that are better are obviously Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Um, you want to go with the safest pick in the draft? I think that's C.J. Stroud. I think that he is the safest QB you could probably draft in this year's draft. Eventually, one of these Ohio State quarterbacks is going to click in the NFL, and I think it's going to be C.J. Stroud. Um, but what do I want the Bears to do? I feel like they should trade the pick. I feel like they should keep Justin Fields, ride it out, just try to get him some wide receiver help, get a ton of draft capital for that number one pick from the Colts or the Panthers or somebody that is desperate for a quarterback because the Bears are not desperate. They're just entertaining the idea of maybe drafting Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Um, I think Anthony Richardson gives me Zach Wilson vibes. Everyone
What?
went nuts when he made that one throw. When he made that throw cross body, people were like, "Oh, Zach
I know what you're
Wilson."
talking about, but
And then
Anthony Richardson is 10 times the athlete that Zach Wilson is.
what was Florida's record this year? I truly
Okay,
do
yeah,
not
no, 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 no,
remember.
no, no. We're gonna play this card. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying to think of
I
a quarterback. What quarterback has gotten drafted? It's like the Will Levis thing. Will Levis is Zach Wilson. You want to compare somebody to Zach Wilson? Compare Will Levis.
Yeah, no, true. Will this is not a first
He's
round
not.
quarterback,
No, he's not.
respectfully.
And
He's not.
Todd McShay or whatever that
He's
dude's name is thinking that I could tell you that I don't even need to be an NFL I'm not an NFL analyst. He's not a round one quarterback. Would he be considered one of the better
no,
quarterbacks
he's definitely not.
in last year's draft? Maybe. But this year's draft, he's not a first round pick.
Yeah, because last year's was horrible.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
did the
no,
first Kenny
totally agree.
Pickett? Yeah.
Will Levis is. Yeah,
I
that's what I was
just
thinking.
the
Um,
prospect and the idea of Anthony Richardson for NFL teams is what I think a lot of people are excited about.
yeah, and you could also talk about his clutch gene because how badly did he need that? Uh, that why can't I think of the word? Uh, oh my Lord, combine. How badly did
Yeah.
he need that combine?
Yeah. I
And
I
he goes
mean,
out there and puts together.
McShay
Oh, you go ahead.
McShay had him at number one before the combine even happened, though. Like McShay was projecting him number
That's
one
true.
before the combine even happened, and now this is just helping his odds drastically.
Yeah, and people often forget, including myself. Clearly, there's a difference between NFL ready quarterbacks and college ready quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson could definitely be a college ready or NFL ready arm, and I mean he's got legs too. So
I
I
the only thing with
I,
me
I, I can
is
see him going first, but
the only thing
I
is
wouldn't
I
like him
don't want
going
him to
first.
go to an organization like the Texans or the Jets or the Panthers because now I say that Jets, but I, I guess we haven't really seen what Salah can do trying to develop a quarterback. They kind of gave up on Zach Wilson. He gave up on Zach Wilson early this year. So I don't think the Jets are necessarily a dysfunctional organization. Now, they have been in the past, but I think they would be more willing to go trade for an Aaron Rodgers or a Lamar Jackson than draft because I feel like they're ready to compete now than wait 2-3 years again down the line to then compete. Like I said, 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, and that roster is ready to compete. They just can't be led by
Yeah.
a Zach Wilson. Um, I no, I like that. I don't think, but I don't. I really don't think Richardson should go to a Houston or, uh, like you said, to Carolina,
Now,
because
now,
both of those teams will not be ready to compete for a while.
now, I say Houston. Just the past. Um, Obviously, with this new coaching staff and the changes inside the organization, this could be a perfect fit for an Anthony Richardson. Um, but in the past, now I don't know. I mean, they drafted a generational talent in Deshaun Watson, um, and he made some things off the field. I, they have drafted quarterbacks correctly. Position.
Yeah, I mean, you say that they drafted correctly. I would disagree with that. Who was taken right before Deshaun Watson?
Okay, okay.
I
Let's be
know
honest here.
Mahomes is
If
a long
Deshaun
shot.
Watson, no. Let's be honest here. Let's take a step back. Look at the bigger picture. Deshaun Watson is now minus all the off the field stuff. Would you want to build a franchise around Deshaun Watson?
One
Is
thousand percent.
there was a point in time where Deshaun Watson was up 24-0 in the first quarter against Patrick Mahomes. There was a point in
I
time.
have a video. I have a video of me in a Deshaun Watson jersey, losing my mind because we are up. However, what is the flip side of that game?
Yeah, they blew a 24-point lead in one quarter. Yes, I understand that.
And got
But
murdered.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm saying like Deshaun Watson's not a quarterback that you're looking at drafted before Mahomes, and it's like, oh well, you could have had this guy or this guy. Now, obviously, the Texans could have had Mahomes. Would the story have been different? I think so because there's two different coaching staffs. Mahomes got drafted to a guy in Andy Reid who is an offensive mastermind, and he knows the game better than anybody. If he got drafted to a Bill O'Brien Texans led team, is it the same Mahomes? I don't know.
Yeah. And that 2017 draft class was
That
very,
that that
very
draft
good
class, yeah, it was. That was one of the best
because,
QB draft classes in a while.
yeah, because you get Miles Garrett at one, great player.
Hmm.
You have Leonard Fournette, who is turning out to be a pretty decent
Pretty
running back.
decent
I
running
would say
back,
he
but he's
lived up to the hype.
he's coming up on his old age where the running backs kind of die off.
Run CMC.
That is true. CMC's been
Uh,
pretty good.
yeah. I mean, it was just it was very
Who? What?
Tre'Davious White.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I was about to say, what defensive back got drafted? Because I know there was one that got drafted high up.
Tre'Davious
Um,
White, Buda Baker,
mhm.
Zay Jones. Well, Zay Jones mid, but TJ Watt, Dalvin Cook.
TJ
Like there
Watt.
are a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
that draft
players
class that might honestly
stacked.
that's a decent draft class. Like very solid all
Juju,
around. TikTok
Kamara
boy
in the
maybe.
third round.
Yeah, that's a good draft. Oh man, wasn't that no?
Yeah,
What year was
2017. What
what
year was
year
what?
was Jamal Adams? Was that 2016 or was he 2018? I feel like
I
it
think
was
it's
20.
2018 because he was very young on the Jets.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, he still is. What is he coming up? He can't stay healthy now, man. I feel bad for him. But
No,
no,
he was
that those
drafted
he was drafted by the Jets.
2017.
I think. I think yes. That draft class was stacked.
Yes, Jamal Adams.
Um,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, that draft class was stacked. That might be
Mike Williams
considered when we look back on it. That might be the best draft class in a, like up there
and
because the
John
amount of Hall
Ross
of
getting picked at
Famers.
9
Yeah,
when
that
he
was
ran it
at the
when he ran a
time.
4.240.
At the time, that was a good pick, but
Yeah, no, it was.
uh, the Bengals kind of messed that one up in the long run. Um, I I don't know honestly. Like it'll be interesting to see where Anthony Richardson goes because I am excited as a football fan to see a prospect like this, like a Cam Newton 2.0, kind of come up and
Yeah,
come out of the works in college. And I'm very excited to see what he can do in his NFL career because there are people comparing him to Johnny Manziel, not party wise, but football play wise, and there's people comparing him to Lamar Jackson, which is insane to compare a college kid that hasn't really done anything in his career like Lamar had. And he wasn't ever a dark horse for the Heisman. He wasn't ever anything like he wasn't up for any awards really ever, and he's just kind of just stuck around and proven himself. Um, so I'm not hating on him. I'm not going to hate on him until he gives me a reason to. If he does give me a reason to, but I'm an Anthony Richardson fan. I'm on board with what he is because I like prospects like this, which is raw talent and raw ability.
yeah, and kind of to get back on that question, would you want him to go to a team like the Texans or the Jets? He's used to losing right now. It's not like he's
That is true.
going
Florida.
from a good Florida team, a Florida team that's competing with Georgia every year, to a team that's losing to Florida State. He
Yeah.
knows how to lose. So I don't think that would be horrible. I don't want that for the guy. I want him to go in. I want him to, I want him to compete. I
Yeah.
want him to go to the playoffs year two.
Um. So we're gonna jump right into this MLB because this is like one of the last things. You were excited to talk about this. The new
Yes.
rules that they have implemented into the MLB. Um, a 15-second pitch clock. With bases empty, and then 20 seconds with runners on. And then the hitters get one timeout per AB. And then the batters must be in the box with at least 8 seconds left on the pitch clock. How we feel about this?
It's horrible. The idea is not bad. It works in college. College is 20 seconds. 15 seconds gives you no time. You got to think about like, okay, how do they usually have? They had 30, right? It
I
was
think
30
so.
before, I think.
I think so.
I think it was 30. 30's long. Okay, MLB games. I've been to MLB games that were four
Might have
hours
been
long because
45.
guys. Okay, yeah, you can't jump from 45 to
Uh-uh.
15.
No.
20, I think would be the sweet spot. It works in college. Guys have time to
2025 for majors.
Yes, guys have time to collect themselves. What if some pitcher hits you with like the nastiest pitch you've ever seen, and then you get caught swinging at something in the dirt? You want to clear your head before you go back up for that next pitch.
Yeah, I
If
know.
you have 15 seconds, you have time to take one step out, look at your coach, get back in. As a batter,
Not
I'm
even
not.
really. Like,
Yeah, I I'm not. I'm not on board with it.
and I'm a fan of this. I like you said, right idea, wrong like time, wrong everything to have
Yeah.
like I think 25 seconds is right around the range that I think needs to happen. Just the way that it is going right now, it is tough because there was a 20-second strike. Obviously, the Yankees Pirates game. I feel like a 20-second strikeout is cool. I feel like that's cool for like the first week or two, like when the regular season starts. I feel like, oh yeah, that's cool. 20-second strikeout, like it's fun, it's fast. Um, but I feel like after a while, it's going to get old. Like, okay, it's another 20-second strikeout, or how fast. I feel like, but then this is something that I saw. It was like one of the first games of the MLB, whatever spring training. Um, the Braves Red Sox game where the batter Cal Conley thought he had won on a walk-off walk, but instead the umpire, with full count, bases loaded, 2 outs, called him out because he didn't get in the batter's box fast enough. And I have a scenario here, and I want to get your opinion. I wanted to get VB's opinion. That's why I put these two teams as an example in here. Um, so this scenario I want to throw at y'all is, as a baseball fan, 2023 World Series, hypothetically, it's the Rangers versus the Giants. The Rangers are down a run with the bases loaded, 2 outs. It's a full count. Corey Seager's up to bat, and the umpire calls him out because he didn't step in the batter's box with 8 seconds to go. Obviously, as a Giants fan, okay, bad example. Say it's the Dodgers and the Rangers. How would you feel about this? Like watching this as a World Series Game 7, game ends on a strikeout that he didn't even get a chance to strike out. The time ran out on him.
It wouldn't matter to me who it was. I'd be pissed because there's no way you're going to go through a whole season for it to be ended on time.
That is,
That would, as a sports fan, as a baseball fan, that would drive me
and I
crazy.
think that's something that the league has to address because what are you going to do if that scenario actually happens? Like you're down a run with the bases loaded and there are 2 outs and you have a full count and somebody doesn't step in the batter's box fast enough. Well, the MLB can't just be like, well, he should have gotten the batter's box fast enough. It's game 7 of the World Series. Like he's going to breathe.
Yeah.
Like the stress. I just want to get how would you go about that like as the league to be like, okay, well, we have to think about these different scenarios. Or you think they possibly? I think they have changed the rule officially. Like it's in the rule book. Like the rules have officially changed. But you think they would be open to maybe changing it to 20-25 seconds? Because I feel like if somebody throws a scenario out there like this, it's going to be like, well, that'll never happen, and then it ultimately probably end up will happening. Um,
Yeah. I don't see this 15 seconds rule lasting longer than a season. It'll be changed by the end of the year. They'll keep it. They'll just change the time. But I also think guys have to get used to it. You
that is
know,
true.
they I think they will be used to it by postseason. If you're not, Triple A's got your name on it. Um, I yeah, I think I think if that did happen, though, the league would they'd obviously be in the center of sporting news. Twitter would have a field
Stephen A.
day with
Smith,
them.
yes, Stephen A. Smith would have
Oh,
a absolute field day, and he didn't even watch baseball.
they would get drugged through the mud to where they would have to change it. So I think, regardless, it's not a good rule. I think too short of time for guys to collect themselves. Granted, they do have one timeout per at bat.
So I
I,
guess yeah, that could come down to it. Yes, like where Corey Seager could call timeout, but
but think about every time
I,
a guy gets in the box. Every time he gets in, he goes up and he's asking for time to get ready and get set.
yeah,
Like I like at least twice or three times per at bat, unless you get a guy like Joey Gallo or is it Gallo or Votto who just
I
stay
think
in
it's
the box.
Votto. I think it's Votto.
Yeah, it was probably Votto. Uh,
Um,
so but he's one of a kind, so you're not going to get that with
no,
anyone.
no.
Um,
I, I think
if
baseball
you're going to keep the 15 seconds, add another timeout.
last year, nobody was really watching it. They were on ESPN. They're paying all this money, and nobody's watching the games. Nobody's really going to the games because they're so long. So I think yes, the MLB has taken that initiative to get themselves back to where their ratings were 4 or 5 years ago. But and heck, might be actually a good thing that the time is as slow as fast as it is because it might entertain more people that like football or basketball that as a high paced game. Um, so I mean, I from just a baseball, I watch baseball. I don't watch all of it on ESPN, but I'll turn it on if it's on, like the Sunday Night Classics or whatever they have, whatever it's called, the Sunday series, um, every Sunday. But I'm not like an avid baseball watcher. I'm not going to sit down and watch 4.5 hours, 5 hours of a baseball game. So I mean, from they had the Red Sox game on. It was like the Red Sox and Pirates, I think, spring training on ESPN, and I watched that, and it was the fastest game I've ever seen, and it was entertaining and it was good. So I mean, honestly, this is a really good thing, but I think just the 15 second, if a scenario gets like thrown that out there and that does happen, the league will be in a lot. The league will be in trouble. Now their ratings won't be in trouble because a ton of people will be wanting to know what the heck happened, but all the baseball fans and all the baseball like diehards are going to be like, well, that was the stupidest thing ever, and they wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah, and of course the diehard fans don't mind sitting around for four and a
No,
half hours watching a ball game, but you want to get the youth,
yeah,
interested in your league because in the end they're the ones who are going to dictate how long you stay around and how well your numbers do. It's a money game.
yeah.
Everyone knows that sports has always been a money game,
Hmm.
um, and so I think I'm with you on that. I think it overall it is a good thing for baseball. However, there's no way that it stays like this.
No, I think it's got to at least bump up to 20 seconds permanently.
Yeah,
I think 20 seconds without a batter or runner on, and then 25 seconds with baseball stuff. Obviously, when the season gets closer, and VB's here, he had to coach JV baseball. I don't know if we talked about that in the beginning, but that's where he is right now. So he hopefully will be back next week. I'm gonna get to my 1 minute XFL, and then we can close this out. I'm gonna try to convince
okay.
you to watch the XFL. I'm gonna give you a couple names. I'm just gonna. Have you watched the XFL yet or no?
No, and
I know VB.
I
I know VB hasn't.
right now racing is starting. You know me. You know I love racing.
Yeah.
So that's been my focus. Um, but no, I'm open. Convince me.
All right. My 1 minute starts now. Okay. There are three Texas teams in the XFL: the Arlington Renegades, which is in Dallas, the San Antonio Brahmas, and then the Houston Roughnecks. So a key coach. You know all about Bob Stoops. Texas Longhorns, Oklahoma Sooners rivalry. Probably beat Texas. Whatever. Marquette King, swaggiest punter in the NFL at one point. The Brahmas head coach Hines Ward, Kalen Balaj, Arizona State running back. You know all about him. I think you're from Arizona. And then Roughnecks head
Yep.
coach Wade Phillips, Cowboys coach at one point. And then Brandon Silvers, Spring League quarterback, MVP, kind of other notable players from other teams. Ben DiNucci from the Sea Dragons, Cowboys quarterback, started one game. Josh Gordon, wide receiver, Browns, Seahawks, and Patriots, 2013 All-Pro. And then Vic Beasley, the defensive end for the Falcons, at one point in 2016, led the NFL with 15 and a half sacks and was an All-Pro. That's my minute of trying to break down the XFL.
I will watch a Brahmas game. I will
Hey, I'm a
make that
Brahmas
promise
fan.
to you. I will watch it. Okay, I will watch it this weekend. I'll be back home actually this weekend. 'Cause we got break coming up.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's right. Yeah, you're coming down with us.
yeah. Vic Beasley actually kind of excites me, and
Yeah,
then
but I wouldn't
obviously
watch.
Josh Gordon.
I would not watch the Vipers. Just
They suck.
they are probably the worst team in the XFL.
Yeah, and then well, like I've seen a lot. Like actually, it's pretty big here at OSU. Like, because we've got our little snap story for college. So
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen a bunch of Sea Dragons like propaganda. So could have to check out a Sea Dragons game, and obviously Josh Gordon, the Hemp Lord.
Actually, the Sea Dragons and Brahmas play
So
this weekend. The Sea Dragons and
okay,
Brahmas
perfect.
play this weekend,
So
Saturday night. So that'll be it. I think it's a late start, but it's good football. I didn't mention that. It's actually like entertaining football. There's always at least one game that's bad, but it's because it's either the Vipers or the other. I think it's the Guardians that are like they have no quarterback. I think Paxton Lynch is a quarterback for one of them. So yeah.
I
So
saw a headline on that today.
so yeah, no, I would stay away from. I think it's the Guardians and the Vipers. I would stay away from those two teams if you want to watch an entertaining game. Um, I'm a Brahmas fan. I'm also a Renegades fan. I kind of gave up on being a Renegades fan though. I'm done with the Dallas. I'm done with the Dallas football. I'll save that to the Cowboys. That's enough stress as it is. Um, so I went with the local team, the Brahmas, just a fresh start. Um, but yeah, no, it's you want to support a really good team, go to the Renegades or the Roughnecks. I mean, they're 3-0, they're 8-0 in the whole XFL, so they're pretty good, led by Wade Phillips. Um, I, I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you watch at least one game. It's actually entertaining football. Just you have to stay away from the Vipers and the Guardians.
I will give you the gift of my
Give it
time
give it one
watching this
game,
game,
one game. It
unless OSU plays in the Big 12 title game. Then I'll have to watch.
then you have to watch, and that is a fair excuse. But they're not going to play on Sunday, will they?
Sorry, stomach cramp.
They're not
Maybe.
playing on Sunday.
I think
Maybe.
I think Saturday
Actually, I
night. I
think
think is when the
Saturday
championship
night.
is.
Okay, so okay. I mean, I'll have to try to convince VB in the group chat because I think VB will like it. He likes football. It, it's entertaining. I will say that. Um, they have pretty much every coach mic'd up. They've got f bombs dropping left and right because the players are mic'd up. Um, they had a hot mic on a player, and I think it was Ben DiNucci, and he just dropped the biggest f bomb in the huddle, and everyone on live TV heard it. And I was sitting on my couch, and I was like, "Holy cow!" That just was like it was. Nothing else was being said, and he just dropped the f bomb. Like
Yeah, I will.
it was. It
I'll
is
definitely
entertaining.
watch
I
it.
promise you. All right.
All
Um,
right.
so that'll wrap this up for this episode. It's kind of a long episode, but we got into a lot of stuff. It'll probably start being this long. I've get a lot of feedback on how people like the longer episodes and the debate kind of episodes that we had this time. So hopefully VB will join us next time, and it will be a three-way debate. We can get into some more NBA action. We can get into some more NFL, talk about what we're going to do. I think I want to do a mock draft. So I'll text it out tonight where we can have our first round mock draft, like of our first round. We'll just do a top 10 mock. It doesn't have to be like a full draft recap analysis, but just something where we could talk about it, and we could talk about that. And then just more MLB stuff as the season gets closer. VB can give his opinions on stuff as well because I know he wasn't here. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Chase, thank you for joining me on this episode.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, see
Yeah,
y'all guys later.
looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
Later.